Squishies. Welcome back to another vlog. This is my entire high school sinking into the sea. So first off, this is a very accurately named movie. It is in fact about the main character's entire high school sinking into the sea. This is an interesting one. I'm not 100% sure what to make of it. It uses this very sketchy style. The foregrounds, the characters, all of that feel very much like the, not quite doodles, but the drawings of someone who is reasonably talented at drawing but has little to no training, which I suspect means that they were very difficult to make because it takes a certain level of skill, a fairly high one, to convincingly create something that looks unskilled without looking bad. The backgrounds, meanwhile, tend to be very abstract, almost psychedelic. A lot of color, a lot of unusual combinations of colors. They're often dripping or flowing in strange ways. It's really visually very interesting, at times almost overwhelming. Which is good because the story is a little it's at once far-fetched and kind of cliche. It feels like the same kind of writing as the drawing. That this is something that a teenager raised on a diet of adventure movies and teen angst would create. There's a real predictability to it. The whole thing is structured after high school. I mean, not just in the sense of the physical building, but the process. They are starting at the sophomore floor, as the building is ranked hierarchically, working their way up through the junior floor, senior floor, the auditorium where presumably graduations would be held, and then they graduate out to freedom and survival. It's a pretty obvious coming-of-age kind of a story. There's not much surprise there. In the process, they learn to respect the weird lunch lady who turns out to be awesome. The problem that came into the main character and his friend Asaf's friendship and is healed. Asaf and Verdi, the token female friend, get together. Their bully gets eaten by sharks. Like, it's very teen boy wish fulfillment fantasy, to the point that I was actually surprised that the tall redhead gymnast that comes along with them didn't end up with the main character, because I kind of assumed it was his teen wish fulfillment fantasy. Especially when they had this obvious dislike at the beginning, that usually in a predictable story. So that was at least nice to see that not happening. And it's not quite as well done in the writing as in the visuals. The writing like I said, was that blend of cliched and far-fetched. Like, things happen. I mean, just the fact that the building maintains its integrity even as the cliff it's on slides into the sea. Turning it, that it's watertight enough for it to fill up slowly with water. That, the principal sacrifices himself, electrocuting himself at the end to get them out. Like, ridiculous things like that happen. The explosion that turned the senior floor into this post-apocalyptic nightmare where the quarterback reigns as literal king. It's kind of ridiculous. And it just does not hold together. The visuals are artfully stylized to resemble the work of someone who doesn't know what they're doing, while at the same time being effective, because they actually are by someone who knows what they're doing. The writing isn't as effective. The main character is intensely unlikable, and we are never really given a reason to care about him. He's just kind of a dick. And I mean, a character doesn't have to be likable to be a good main character, but we have to at least care what's happening to someone. And because our point of view hews so closely to a dick, all we see is the worst of everyone. Everyone in this story is terrible. And again, it's possible to care about the character arc of someone who's terrible, but the endless bleak cynicism of it palls pretty quickly. Early in the movie, somebody says of Dash that he's a cynic and a coward. That cynics are cowards. They're not wrong. And I say this as someone who has a pretty negative attitude about the world in which we live, but that is because I genuinely believe it could be better, and should be better. A true cynic doesn't. They think it's always going to be bad. That there is no good it could be. And that's really what this movie feels like. The implication of that line appearing early on would be that this is about him getting over that, but he really doesn't. Right up to the point where near the end of the movie, he says that they're going to, he's going to write this book, and it's going to be, he's going to make the truth more dramatic than it was. Because apparently what happened in the movie wasn't melodramatic enough. And, the one bright spot is his connection with Lunch Lady Lorraine, who is this, impossible badass character. And his exchange with her at the very end of the movie is excellent, and probably the best part of the movie. Where she gives this overwrought speech about, the new kids coming in to the school and anxious and hungry, and it's on her to feed them, and then she, leaps off into the moonlight, off of the building, implying she's gonna jump from building to building, a anime hero. It's hilarious for starters, but also like it's a sense of some real hope, you know? The world is a terrible place, but these kids coming up, maybe, if they're fed right, will do something about it. The problem is we've already seen what that process looks like. The, melodramatic, hellish climb through the levels of a rotting building that is simultaneously sinking into the sea and on fire. So even that bright spot doesn't quite overcome the movie's sheer weight of cynicism. Which is not to say that it's a bad movie. It's a decidedly okay movie. And, depending on how you feel about novel visuals, if that is something that you really like, then this is a great movie. Because it does have extremely novel visuals that are extremely good. If that is something that you appreciate, but are still ultimately more about story, this movie is okay. Basically, this is an artist's movie, not a writer's movie. And there's nothing wrong with that. Just, I'm a writer. So yeah, I think that's about it. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Check out my Patreon for early access to Let's Plays, vlogs, essays, and more. And I'll see y'all next time. Bye!